Let's do it. Okay. Welcome to all the viewers, everybody watching. Thanks so much for your time. I am very excited to introduce Tershia to you. Tershia de Klerk is the Chief Operating Officer at STOP Trafficking of People. And STOP Trafficking of People is really existing to combat human trafficking. And it's really good for those of you who don't know about them to look them up, check them up, get educated about human trafficking and how you can make a difference in that sphere and that challenge that our world faces. So diving right into it, Tershia, thank you for your time. And I'd like to ask you to explain to all the viewers what the connection between pornography and sex trafficking is that you have observed in the work that you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you, Chantelle. It's really lovely being with you on your show. Basically, sex trafficking is fueled by pornography, and pornography cannot exist without sex trafficking. So it's quite a vicious circle. And victims of trafficking will generally not discuss their situation with their consumer or with their customer or ask for help because they are trained by their traffickers to lie and to act. And this in turn causes the user not to fully realize the truth behind the facade or the smile. And there is a demand, or rather where there is a demand for commercial sex, sex traffickers respond to the demand by offering the product to be sold for profit. And the product to sex traffickers is unfortunately our vulnerable women and children, which they, the traffickers, control.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's really starting at home, with parents, and that's what we are sort of dealing with now. But on top of that now, how does pornography groom victims? So if we should say, pornography is fueling all of this, how would you describe it practically? How is it actually grooming victims and buyers who are involved in the sex trafficking transaction?
Okay, so when it comes to the victims, the sex trafficking, where it's present, the victims are often subjected to violence, to threats and control, false promises, manipulation, etc., by the pimps. Yeah. And the pornography is also used to prepare victims to perform the sex that is required or requested by the buyers. And then when it comes to the actual buyers, when we think of like popular books and movies and television shows and music even, it often glamorizes and romanticizes the commercial sex industry without properly acknowledging the actual presence of sex trafficking. And this glamorization then fuels the demand for paying someone else for sex. Now, pornography is even more potent because it actually makes the buyers less sensitive to the true value of the victim. The buyer or the user and the sex trafficker even develop an absolute disregard for a person's basic human rights, including the right to self-determination. Many sex buyers also may be unaware or ill-informed or even in absolute denial of the abusive realities of sex trafficking situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that it starts somewhere. Nobody wakes up. I always say nobody wakes up on a random Thursday morning and thinks, let me go and buy a child for
Yes,
sex. It starts somewhere.
exactly.
And pornography has infiltrated so much of our culture and influenced so many people that it would be it would be wrong of us to ignore this public health crisis of pornography today.
Oh, most definitely. I agree with you. And it actually desensitizes people. A lot of what we are so used to, the visuals that we are bombarded with and that we see around us. So that makes it even worse because we are so desensitized as well. And it, as you say, it starts somewhere and it actually escalates or evolves.
Yeah, absolutely.